예시프렌 total fui ketugihuna alkemi kapok skrip.
Hi everyone, today I want to do a mid-year reading check-in. I'm going to mix the mid-year pre-card book tag. This is like my 7th year doing this tag and I still don't know how to properly say it. But I'm going to do a mix of that tag and some questions I've seen online. Also, I have a Fable and a Goodreads where I update all my readings. I always do reviews for every single book that I read. How many books have you read so far in 2026? I've read 21 books so far. My goal is 50. I don't think I'm going to reach it. It's fine. Best books you've read so far in 2026. So for fiction, I chose The Other Bennett Sister by Janice Hadlow. This book is a historical fiction set in the Regency period and it follows a third Bennett sister, Mary Bennett. And in The Other Bennett Sister, you get to see her personality. Obviously, when you read Pride and Prejudice, you feel like maybe Jane Austen doesn't like Mary that much, but in The Other Bennett Sister, Mary is such a wholesome and sweet character that you just want to give her a hug. At the beginning of the book, you see how her mother treats her really shapes her personality and how she expresses herself, and also being the shadow of her sisters because all her sisters are either very charismatic or very beautiful, and her mother keeps repeating that to Mary all the time. The progression of her life in this book, like the pacing and how things develop, seem very natural because you really get to see her naturally evolve and become someone that is coming of age, begin to understand what she wants to do with her life. And also there's this beautiful love triangle, and by beautiful I mean that both men in the love triangle, they are both very sweet and I was rooting for both of them. Also, I have no idea why I didn't mention this before, but there's a BBC adaptation of this series. It's an amazing adaptation that I've actually seen twice. And then for non-fiction, I have Meditations by Marcus Aurelius Antoninus Augustus. He was a Roman I cannot say that word in English, emperor. The R's in Spanish and English are so different that it's confusing for me. He was a Roman emperor around 2000 years ago. Extremely fascinating to think that someone that was born 2000 years ago was in the Roman Empire, that had so much power in the Roman Empire, that was known as the Wise. So many things that he wrote resonate with a 28-year-old girl from back then that has nothing to do with this type of life. I'm going to sound so cliche and I'm just going to sound kind of crazy, but this book has changed the way I react to so many things. I'm a very sensitive girl. I'm in my mind a lot of the time. It's very difficult for me to just let go of things in my mind and just slow down. But this book really reminds you that we all come from dust and we will all come dust again sometimes. Like, it's not that deep. We, like human beings, we are not as complex as we think we are. Being reflective about your behavior, about how you act and the things that you're doing is very important. You shouldn't let go of that, but at the same time you should not be on your mind all the time. Try to do good, try to do better, but don't get lost on that. That's basically what I'm trying to say. New releases you haven't read yet but want to. Yesterday Here by Caro Claire Bourque. Everyone is talking about this book. I feel like this is one of the most talked about books, at least on the online space, with a whole discussion of tried wife, ballerina farm, London falling, a mysterious death in a gilded city, and a family search for the truth by Patrick Rannan-Keefe. This book uncovers the tragic death of a 19-year-old boy that was actually living a double life, that had a lot of criminal connections. And then most anticipated release for the second half of the year, I have Why Rabbits Down Below by Leonora Carrington. This is a modern classic that's coming out in July. In 1940, Leonora was persuaded to flee France and advance in German army for Spain. Already suffering from a psychotic break occasioned by the arrest of her lover by the Nazi authorities, she was soon confined to a mental institution where she was subjected to sadistic treatment under the guise of medical care. I really like doing memoirs. I don't know if that says I'm a nosy person and I like knowing about other people's life, but I just think it's fascinating to learn about how someone else has lived life. But I just think that a lot of stories should be preserved and other people should know about them. Then for biggest disappointments, I actually have two and I only wanted to mention one, but I need to mention two. The first one is Enchanted April by Elizabeth von Armin. I didn't hate this book. Let me just start by saying this. I think this is sort of my fault in the sense that I thought this book was going to be enchanting and whimsical and it was going to feel like a warm Mediterranean spring hug. It just ended up being a very dry satire for women, aristocratic women. Not aristocratic because not all of them are aristocratic, but upper middle class. Don't go into this book thinking that you're going to find a very spring-like Italian Castello type of writing, because it's not really that. It's just much more on the human struggles and experiences of all these 4 women that escape for an entire month to the Italian Riviera to escape from the problems they have back home. And the other one is King of Gluttony by Ana Juan. This is a 6th book in the Kings of Sin series, and it has come to a point where all her books are the same. Like, all the characters are blending in my mind. When I was reading this book, I actually knew what was going to happen. Like, I knew what the characters were going to say. I knew how the characters were going to react. So I've read so many of her books that they have all blended together for me. Since all of them are billionaires living in New York, it just comes to a point where it all blends together. And then for biggest surprise, I have The Luminaries by Eleanor Catton. This book is set during the 1860s in Hokitika in New Zealand during the gold rush. It does get long. Like, the reading experience is not one that you will fly through. I loved that it cured my attention span during that time that I was reading this. This book is a mystery because you find a dead body in a ship and you want to find out who killed that dead person. But once you start reading it and you only think it's a mystery, you end up finding so many characters. There's actually a list of characters at the beginning, with some of it here, which is it's nice to see, but you really should focus on the characters. Once you start unpacking everything, it's just so fun because all the pieces start blending together. All the characters you have been reading about, they all meet. This book follows the lunar cycle. So the first part of this book is a lunar cycle, and it sort of gives you where everything is. For example, this one is Mercury in Sagittarius, and as you go through this book, you will follow different lunar cycles. The beginning of this book is very slow because it's the longest lunar cycle, and as you read it, the cycles become shorter and shorter. First chapter, I think, is like almost 200 pages, and the last chapters are only 1 page long. The pacing of this book is very slow, and once you get into like 3/4 of this book, maybe here, it's so fast. Like, you fly through this book. When they are doing the trial, like, it goes so fast, and I think that was done intentionally. At least I would like to think so, because that's the way my mind has processed that information. I've never read anything set in New Zealand, especially during this time period, which seems bizarre to me because New Zealand is on my top 3 places that I want to visit. So this was a biggest surprise in the sense that I didn't think I was going to like it that much, but I did. I'm really happy that I did, and I'm really happy that I finally read it as well. Are you okay? Betty is here snoring away, so if you hear someone snoring, it's my beautiful Betty. Then for my favorite author debut or new to you, the first one is Charlotte Perkins Gilman. This is not the first time that I've read the Yellow Wallpaper. I've actually read it, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. This little copy contains 3 stories that I still think about till this day. I read this book in January or February at the beginning of the year. This copy contains the Yellow Wallpaper, the Rocking Chair, and Overture. Maybe I should have put this one of my favorite books. I think I'm going to reread it again next year, and maybe next year is going to be my favorite books because it just really stuck with me. And then for the other one, I have the Bronte sisters. Well, actually, I should only put Emily Bronte so far because this is the only book that I've read. Bronte sisters have been my Roman Empire for the longest time now. I went to the Bronte personage at the beginning of this year, and I cannot really begin to describe the feeling that I had being there, but let's just say that the Bronte sisters have a very special place in my heart, and that I hated that Wuthering Heights movie, like the 2026 movie. I hated it. I just needed to add that. I don't know why. Then for newest fictional crush is the Hayward and the other Bennett sister. Maybe it also has to do a lot with Donald Finn. I don't know if it's the way that Donald Finn portrayed Mr. Hayward or just that he's a man that yearns, and I know it's not the most healthy being yearning for someone, but in a fictional way, I think it's great. Book that made you happy, Beautiful Cassandra by Jane Austen. This book contains a lot of different short stories. This book was written by 12-year-old Jane Austen. She wrote these stories for fun to read for her family. The Beautiful Cassandra is a very short story that she wrote, inspired by her sisters, sort of. All of them are extremely absurd, and you really get to see that these were written by 12-year-olds, but they made me laugh. Jane Austen had a very witty humor. She knows how to write charismatic and witty characters, and the fact that something written by a 12-year-old that lived during the Regency period made me laugh is something, because books written nowadays don't tend to make me laugh. Humor nowadays doesn't really do it for me, at least in books, but this one did. Book that made you sad. This one was sadly very easy for me to pick. War in the Attic by Julie Otsuka. This is a historical fiction, but it's based on real life events. After the First World War, I think it was 12 women were shipped from Japan to the United States States as picture brides, meaning that they were bought by Japanese men in the United States. They have only seen a picture of them, they have never met them, and they're shipped from Japan to the United States to become brides. The entirety of this book is written in the second plural verse, so it's always we. You never hear an I, so it's just a collective story of these women. It's a collective telling. So we follow them when they're shipped from Japan after the First World War, and the book ends after the Hiroshima bombing, well, Pearl Harbor and then Hiroshima. So it ends after the Second World War and them being treated really bad. The United States created Japanese concentration camps after bombing of Pearl Harbor. From the beginning till the end, the entire middle of the book is just, it boils my blood. Women have never had it easy, and I will not hear anyone that tries to tell me that women have had it easy for a long time. No. This was not even 100 years ago. These are the type of stories that I hate reading so much, but at the same time, I know I need to read them because they were real life events. Even if the characters in this book are fictional, these stories should not be forgotten. The next one is the most beautiful book you've bought or received so far this year. I actually wouldn't know. I haven't bought any collector's editions or anything like that. I'm going to show you this one, Veda by Elizabeth von Armin, which is the same author of The Enchanted April. Both of these covers are beautiful. I didn't buy this one this year. I bought it last year, I think. Oh no, I bought it this year as well. I bought these two books this year, so this just screams Mediterranean, how spooky it is. I think this is sort of inspired by Rebecca by Daphne de Maurier. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? I made a video talking about my 2026 priority TBR, and so far I'm doing really good. I've divided a big part of my TBR into 4 different seasons. I've completed my entire winter TBR and my spring TBR. Well, actually DNF'd one book in spring, but it's a book that I didn't physically own, so it's fine. And now I'm going through my summer TBR. Doing very realistic TBRs helped me so much. I like mood reading, but at the same time I like prioritizing the books I physically own because otherwise I feel like I never can get around to reading them. What books do you want to reread this year? I wanted to reread The Yellow Wallpaper and I have already done that, so a book you've enjoyed with mixed reviews. That one I'm going to go with Wuthering Heights. I feel like people either hate or love this book. I did like it. It's an extremely toxic and brutal read. It's not easy, it's not a fun read, it's not a romance. Catherine is an extremely terrible character. Same with Heathcliff. No one in this book is good. Maybe Mr. Linton is the only one, and then Kathy Jr. She is extremely innocent, so I feel bad for her, but even Linton or Hetherington, both of them are very shitty. Like, they didn't treat Kathy well at all. But the people that love it, probably because they love the romanticism type of writing and the description from how brutal the Yorkshire moors were. I went to the Yorkshire moors in January and winter, and I actually went on a sunny day, but the wind, when I was hitting your face, sort of turned it crazy in the sense that it just keeps going. The wind keeps going, and if you live in an old house in the Yorkshire moors, you probably turn crazy because of that. A 5-star prediction for the rest of the year. This one, I chose The Lottery and Other Stories by Shelley Jackson. I tend to read a Shelley Jackson per year. I adore her book. This is the one I'm going to read this year. This is a collection of short stories, which until this year I thought I hated them, but after reading some short stories like The Beautiful Cassandra and The Yellow Wallpaper, I realized I really need to be specific with the ones I read, because her short stories, I tend to like them as well with classic short stories, like for example Edgar Allan Poe. I love his horror short stories. I really want to read more Edgar Allan Poe actually, now that I mentioned him. And lastly, favorite book community member. My go-to for any sort of book rated thing is Leah Crampton, lover of pages. She has an amazing reading taste. She reads from so many different genres. With her videos and with her content, you really see that she loves and adores reading so much. She also lives in England, which I love consuming content set in England. Not only she has an amazing book taste, she also creates amazing book content. Like the content she creates, the editing, she's so good at it. This is my mid-year reading check-in. I hope you guys liked this very long video. Let me know how your reading has gone so far. Let me know your favorite books so far and if you have any recommendations for me. And I will see you very, very soon. Bye!